Hey, what's good? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is ERAWXRLD, and I've been meaning to make this video and kind of get back to making some content for you guys. I've been out of the loop pretty much for a couple months now. I've just been doing a lot of different things, but I definitely want to get back into making some content for you guys. I'll be doing this real quick, kind of organizing my plugins on FL Studio. This will be an FL Studio exclusive, so I want to make that clear. And then hopefully in the future, I'll be able to do different things with Pro Tools and other programs. But for now, I want to get into showing you guys how to organize everything on FL Studio, making sure that everything is formalized the way you want it. Also, kind of showcasing a new plugin called Bypass by Help Me Devon. And he's been kind of promoting that, and I want to check it out. It's only $5 in the store, so I was like, what the hell, let me do it. I'm going to be doing that after I organize everything, and hopefully you guys can check that out. I'm also the type of person that has like 3,000 plugins in the system, so I definitely want to use that to just clear out anything that I might not be using anymore. Pretty much what you're trying to do is if you go to FL Studio and you go to plugins, you see how this is all organized instead of having like a bunch of them. And then you could also do this by doing simple, but that's a complete mess, especially for people like me that have like thousands of plugins and stuff. So, and then you could also do categories, which is actually kind of cool. But again, for me, it's going to be a lot of different things. So I rather do tree. And then that way I have everything organized. And then the way to find all this here is by going to your documents folder or image line folder, depending on where you have it. Usually for me, it's on documents, image line, FL Studio, presets, and then plugin database, and then effects. And then this is where you'd be able to and this is real time. So if I change the name of this, let's say I put a 2 on there, it'll automatically update here. You see that? This is basically like the little hack that you need to do in order for you to be more organized. And you can also make like your favorites folder here. For me, I wrote my artist name here, and then I have, all these plugins, and these some of my favorite plugins. Pretty much you want to go to new, depending on the system you have. Obviously the new button is going to be somewhere else, but let me do fat filter, and then it'll update its folder there. I know, for example, delay, I have fat filter timeless 3 here, so I'll be able to do this pretty quick. So I'll go to timeless, move that over, and for example, I have some T-Rax, which I already have a folder for, and I'll just be able to drag that in. And then little by little, obviously, you're going to be going forth and, putting the folders, organizing everything. And then by the end of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how organized it is. Also, what I like about this is that if I don't know what a plugin is or what company, I could just double click it, and it should open in FL Studio. So for example, I know this is Arturia now. So now I'd be able to go back and organize all this there. The way I like to do it, if I'm opening a bunch of plugins, I'll just usually go to the master and then turn off this. So that way, every time I load a plugin in, it won't be taking up any CPU usage. For any plugin that you might not know what, what company, because sometimes I understand it's like sometimes we're buying plugins from like random companies. So I'll just be able to go to the settings, and then it'll give you the name here. Sometimes me and my friend just be buying stuff for fun. So, but again, I don't recommend that. If you don't have the funds to be able to buy a bunch of plugins, I don't recommend that. Obviously, do your homework on the type of plugin you're buying and make sure you're actually going to. For me, I just love plugins, so I just collect plugins. This is an option I wish even Pro Tools had, but I don't think it's that organized as far as that. It's a little bit less customizable as far as this. So that's one thing I love about FL Studio, is that you customize it the way you want it. And for me, I just kind of want to organize everything so where I could just look at something and then be like, okay, what do I need? Okay, I need a saturator. I know this specific saturator by this company. Let me go there. So that's the way I'm going to organize everything. And then once I organize everything there, I'm going to be able to start looking for any plugins, extra plugins that I don't need, and then go from there. And then I'll showcase the bypass plugin that I just copied, and then see what it does for me as far as like organizing more of it. For now, this is kind of like the thing that I'm going to be doing. So just finalizing everything that I pretty much organized as far as like the plugins. It's not everything that I own because it's so much. For example, my waves is empty so far because I haven't scanned them. But this is kind of how it would look if you were like organizing everything by folder. You can definitely name each folder by the type of plugins, but I think that's going to be a little bit more confusing for me, as far as like, because I own so many different branded ones, and obviously I want to organize them by not just category but by company. Then I also got a unique folder, and then my own specific folder, because I have, kind of like a favorites folder, ones that I like to use or want to use. And then, for example, unique are some of the ones that I use but not really, or that are very specific, or maybe plugins that are just like one off brand, or a very specific type of effect or plugin. So if you go to FL Studio now, if you go to plugins, you're gonna be able to see that I have everything organized. I even have my own like FL Studio, folder in there, just to make sure I separate that from everything else. But yeah, this is kind of like a quick tutorial on how to organize everything. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments, and then I'll be able to answer anything there. As you can tell, I have a lot of plugins, 3,000 to be exact. So I'm gonna be able to go through and show you what bypass can do. Hopefully that can organize it a little bit better, but let me show you that. So it's not a review or anything like that. This is pretty much the bypass plugin that I bought from Help Me Devon, and I'm gonna be able to check it out, see what it does, and then hopefully it can organize everything and clean out a little bit more of what I have in my machine. So check that out. And again, this is not a tutorial or anything. It's just basically just me trying to showcase what it can do. Okay, wow, that was pretty quick. Literally took less than a couple seconds. That was very, very quick. And I guess you could even, if I want to look up UAD, then I can just specifically go in there and maybe delete everything. I like this because, sometimes when I rescan plugins, UAD causes a lot of issues as far as like all the plugins. As you can tell, there's so many of them. So this is going to be very helpful in me organizing everything that I have and actually don't have. So I'm going to be going through this and then just making sure it does that. I don't know if it does any duplicates, which I doubt, but I think overall everything looks kind of neat. And as you can see, it's all labeled by either brand or plugin name, which is pretty cool. It lets you select what type of plugin you want to delete. Because sometimes, again, I don't use 32-bit. I mostly use 64-bit. So this is very helpful. And also it lets me know kind of where I'm at, like physically, as far as like 29. So as you can tell, in FL Studio, give me like a different number. But this one, I'm going to go through and make sure that everything is good. I'm more focused, honestly, on the UAD plugins, because that one can be like a headache as far as like, deleting stuff. And hopefully this can fix my issue. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This kind of like a gist of how to organize your plugins in FL Studio. And I'll be making more content soon, so check that out. Peace.